Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. In this video, we're going to take a look at the next summon showcase. It's a dragon special, and we also have a platinum showcase coming out alongside it. So that'll be the main focus for today, but I'll briefly mention that tomorrow we are getting a brand new upgrade event called Ascent to Eminence. This doesn't look like a full and proper event with a story. It really seems similar to an event we got at the end of last year called A Sweeping Retrospective. The great thing about that event, though, was it was an opportunity to grind up rainbow orbs and tier 3 orbs. It looks like this may be a similar thing, and hopefully tier 4 orbs and rainbows are there in abundance because lots of players need those right now to level up their elemental altars and unlock mana spirals. So I'm looking forward to checking out that tomorrow. Generally speaking, this time of month in Dragalia Lost tends to be kind of a dead period. We'll often get some void endeavors, maybe a new story chapter, things in the event compendium, like I think tomorrow we'll probably get our circus facility event rerun added to the compendium. That was promised before the end of the month, and it seems like about time we're getting closer to that end of month period. The thing I'm most excited about is the interlude that's happening tomorrow, and I'll definitely make a video on that. I will probably just do like my real-time reaction since these interludes tend to be shorter, but the fact that the Agito are showing up in the main story is hype for me. Like, the high dragons are great and all as bosses, but I never understood why, if they had such an inherent power within, they never actually showed that and used that in the storyline, especially when we were on some of our harder boss fights like fighting Mars or fighting against Mor Sayadi. It seemed weird that we wouldn't tap into like our high dragon potential. But anyway, I will make that video tomorrow. Today we're mainly going to focus on the Dragon Special and the Platinum Showcase. I want to start with the Platinum Showcase because I really want to make sure you know what you're getting if you choose to make a purchase here. These Platinum Showcases guarantee you a 5-star on each tenfold that you do, but you can only summon with Diamantium, which is a paid currency, not with Wormite. However, the 5-star that you get is random. It's not like you get to pick and choose like with the Dream Summon. So they show Ariel here and they show Nimis and Epimetheus, kind of giving you the impression that you're going to get one of these 3 dragons. Even that is not the case. Even though it's random, it's not necessarily even random among these 3. If you actually read this here, it says, get a closer look at some of the 5-star dragons eligible to appear as the guaranteed 5-star summon. If these 3 are only some of them, that means there's probably more of them, and if I had to guess, I think it's probably just going to be all dragons in the game. So it's still a pretty big crapshoot or gamble about what you'll actually get from this, and for that reason, I'm not a fan. I don't think it's the best way to spend your money in Dragalia Lost, but if you want to go for it, more power to you. You can do it up to 2 times, and it lasts until the 29th. If you're thinking that maybe not all dragons are featured the same way I'm thinking, what you can always do is before it happens, go onto the appearance rates page and check and just see what all the dragons are that have a percentage attached to them. And that way you know at least what you're getting or what gamble you're taking, what lottery you're taking when you're doing your platinum summoning. I'm definitely going to skip. I have no interest in a huge pool of dragons potentially. If it's just those 3, that's a little bit more appealing, but still, I'm going to try save money for now. I would prefer to spend that money on a Dream Summon. The other thing you can always check on showcases, of course, on the showcase info is the duration. And just like that Platinum, our current showcase with the Grand Blue Fantasy or Rage of Bahamut characters like Urias, Forte, and Azazel also lasts until the 29th, and as we'll see, the Dragon Special lasts until that day too. It seems like everything's sort of lining up on that day, making me think that that's when we're going to get our new raid event that was also promised for the end of this month, and perhaps sometime in between now and then we'll also get Master Volk. So now let's actually get into the Dragon Special itself, as I think that this is kind of an interesting showcase. Dragon Specials are in a weird place where they're not the most exciting showcase, but they can have value, particularly if you are a newer player. I think that Dragon Specials are good mainly because of the featured 4-star dragons. Those aren't shown here, but if those dragons boost strength, this can be a nice time to pick up dragons if you've just been playing a week or 2 to add to your collection and give yourself a sizable boost right away. Having said that, the strategy here is definitely a wait and see strategy, because this lasts until the 29th also. On that day, we'll have a preview, we'll know what the next showcase is going to be, and in particular, if the next showcase is a gala, I would say, generally speaking, that's a much better resource sink as a new player. It's better to wait for that, spend your summons there, and probably not here. If it's just a generic showcase that doesn't have anything you want, well, maybe you look at the Dragon Special a little bit more reasonably and actually consider summoning on it. For more enfranchised players, I think you pretty much never want to go for these showcases unless one of the 5-star dragons is a dragon you actually need unbinds on, or even if multiple are, that might even be the threshold. It might be higher than just needing one of them. And if there's one that, like, let's say if you got it, you would spend your Sunlight Stones, maybe at that point you want to consider these, but these are mainly a catch-up type showcase, and a lot of people would refer to this as bait or filler for sure. And especially before the end of the month, it seems like maybe we'll get a gala. You never know, it might be next month, but it seems that way right now. So the featured dragons here are 3 in number. It's not like with the Platinum where it could end up being everyone. So that's a good thing. It's a little bit more transparent, but it's going to be Ariel, Nimis, and Epimetheus, the same that were showed on the Platinum page. And the good thing here is that at least all of these provide some amount of strength, so that makes this not one of the worst of these dragon specials that we've seen. At least all of these dragons are pretty decent. Unfortunately, I think the only one that I would say is really great is Ariel. And even then, as of now, Vayu as a wind dragon tends to be better on a larger variety of units. So she's still not necessarily the best. Nimis, unfortunately, just has very few units who can use him effectively. And I think Epimetheus is great, but just outclassed because of the abundance of really strong shadow dragons that exist. So let's go into a little bit more detail and start with Ariel here. Ariel is a wind dragon, and the reason I like her is because she is the only dragon in the game right now that provides a combination of strength and skill haste. I think this actually looks a lot better once we get our skill sharing. Potentially, it could mean that you hit certain breakpoints for casting skills that you would never even think of in the pre-skill share world. So I actually like Ariel quite a bit, and I don't have a copy of her. If I decide to summon on the showcase on the last day, it might be to try pick up a copy of her so I could make a decision about whether I wanted to use stones to unbind her. The other thing here is that she has Cyclone Kick, her skill. This inflicts stun, and that's kind of nice. You know, Zephyr was used for a long time as a popular dragon for Master High Mercury's Trial on one of the 2 Wedding Elisans that would usually be run in the meta comp for public lobbies. And the reason for that was to cancel a tidal call in the battle that would otherwise be kind of annoying to dodge. So the stun is not irrelevant here. It's actually kind of nice. It makes her almost a direct upgrade to Zephyr. You're losing out on 10% strength aura, but often the 30% wind skill haste will be a little bit better. So I do think she's quite good for that reason. And let's say you pair her with somebody like Lin Yu. I'm not saying she's Lin Yu's optimal dragon, but if this is all you have, it's kind of cool that you have access to both sleep and stun on one character. You can do some interesting things with that. So I like Ariel. I think she's looking better as of the Skillshare update. If I were to summon on this is the reason I would summon. Next we have Nimis. Nimis, as I said, suffers from the fact that not a lot of water characters can take advantage of him. He's kind of got a weird combination of ability and skill, because his skill refills the dragon gauge when you shapeshift, making it feel like you want to use this on a dragon-centric character, but his ability has a lot of critical damage, making it feel like you want this on a character who's centered around critical hits. Unfortunately, right now in water, there's not really anyone who falls into that overlap, and you also need a large amount of critical rate to even make this critical damage relevant. Critical damage just generally isn't that good in Dragalia Lost because critical hits already do 1.7 times the amount of normal damage, so you get diminishing returns as you add 55% to that. It's actually like adding 0.55 to the 1.7 times modifier. So it's not quite as good as some other modifiers. You typically want, or at least the old wisdom on this was that you would want like 22 or 23% critical rate for this to even break even with a 60% strength dragon. And nowadays, 60% strength dragons aren't even the strongest ones. So you would have to imagine to actually surpass some of the strongest dragons, you would want upwards of like 40% strength or something like that, or rather 40% critical rate, and perhaps even higher. One of the only reasons that Arctos in Flame is used, besides the stun on his skill, which is admittedly nice, is that Ezilith as a character can get up to 100% critical rate, and that actually makes the 55% critical damage that Arctos has, just like Nimis has, relevant for her. So maybe one day if there's a dragon plus critical rate character, this will be good. And there are some characters with a lot of critical rates in water. Like there is Orsum. Orsum has a lot of flurry effects, I want to say. And there's things like the Prince of Dragonule. It's a worm print where you get Flurry Devastation, which gives you critical rate when you're doing combos. The tools are sort of there, but there's not a character to hold all the tools right now. And you would almost want to say it could be Tiki, but unfortunately Tiki can't become Nimis and use this skill. So yeah, I think Nimis is just not a great dragon. It's probably the worst on this showcase, and if this were Gaibne and Krydne, the Easter Bunny dragon, this showcase could potentially be a slam dunk. Between that and Ariel, I think those are two dragons that look very good starting next week with the version update, but Nimis just isn't quite there. So last up, let's talk about Epimetheus very briefly. Epimetheus is interesting in that he has a Poison Punisher ability and strength 50%, so he's kind of like Apollo and Pazuzu and Core Saint Phoenix, but basically the shadow poison version of them. One thing to note here is that Epimetheus can be good on characters who want to use poison but don't have poison built into their kit. Having said that, with skill share, they're probably going to get poison if they want it, by sharing. So I think Epimetheus' role goes down. The reason he used to be used in that capacity, especially for somebody like Forte, is that his skill actually creates a poison stack that lasts 30 seconds. Most poison in the game lasts only 15 seconds, but the poison on Epimetheus and Pazuzu lasts 30 seconds. I thought this was the case for all dragons, but it's not the case. So like Chthonius, for example, causes poison. Chthonius' poison only lasts 15 seconds. So that's why Epimetheus is kind of nice if you actually care about poison uptime. But really, Shadow has dragons like Shinobi, Fatalis. Some of the characters where Epimetheus still could be good are characters like Durant, where they don't care about skill damage necessarily, and having Punisher ultimately ends up being a better combination for them than just having the strength off Fatalis, especially because you have the out to transform in a pinch if you need to. But yeah, Epimetheus right now, maybe if you don't have Shinobi or Fatalis, this is a dragon that you look at and consider, but I don't necessarily think it's anything special. The Fires of Hate Wormprint is also a really good source of Poison Punisher and strength, and for that reason, a lot of characters want to diversify toward a skill damage dragon because they have such a great print that provides Punisher and provides strength already. And so stacking that isn't as strong on a dragon like Epimetheus. On this type of dragon, you want more skill damage, generally speaking. So ultimately, I don't think this is the strongest dragon special, but if the 4 stars are good, and if the next banner isn't that great, you could consider throwing a few tenfolds here, maybe getting 1 or 2 5 stars if you are a new player, and in particular if you're actually struggling to clear certain content. If you're not struggling, then usually there's not a compelling rush to summon, generally speaking, and it's sort of better to save your resources because you could actually use them on an adventure or dragon you really like or really want. But that is pretty much going to do it for this video, everyone. I think we've covered the Dragon Special in good detail. Just as a reminder, the other Summon Showcase is still happening, and I mentioned the end date of May 29th, but I should also say, remember that you're going to be still getting your free summons on that until that date. So try hold out on summoning on this if you can. If you can wait till the end, you'll have increased your pity rate. I actually hit a random 5-star, so my pity rate reset, but it ended up being Linyu, so it was just a dupe. But by waiting until the end of the banner, you'll have increased your pity rate, you'll have given yourself a chance to summon some of the focus characters, and then you can make a more informed decision about whether you already got them, then maybe you don't want to spend tenfolds, maybe you didn't get them, so you want to go all in. And so you'll also know what the next Summon Showcase is, just like with the Dragon Special, and all of those reasons are reasons to wait. I'm going to try to be patient here, wait it out. Azazel honestly, looking kind of good now with the skill share change. I don't know, that 30% skill haste. I'm kind of excited to summon on this one now, so it's quite possible I will, but I'm going to wait until the very end to make a decision. That is really going to do it for today's video, everyone. Let me know what you think about the Dragon Special. Are these just straight up bad now? Are these just skips all the time? That is the thing I'm most curious about, because I think you can make a case for a new player. It's worth it, but I think it's really hard to make the case for a more enfranchised player. I'd be curious to hear your take on that. Otherwise, everyone, thank you as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.